Kia ora e te whānau na mihi nui ki a koutou. Happy New Year to you all. I hope you've had a great summer break and are ready to start the 2022 school year. So the 2022 school year is going to be starting a little bit differently than we expected due to the fact that we are operating at the red setting of the COVID protection framework. What this means is that things are going to be looking a little bit different as we start the school year. So we'll be using our drop-off zones and pickup areas rather than having parents, caregivers and whānau coming on site. Now we would love to be able to do that and we were really looking forward to it, but the guidelines say we have to restrict all non-essential personnel as much as possible. If you do need to come on site, you will need to make sure that number one, you're wearing a mask, that you sign in with the QR code, and also that you come to the office and sign in for contact tracing purposes. We ask that any visits to the classroom, now this will be especially for our brand new students, are very brief. It's just taking them down, dropping them off and going once they are settled. Ideally, we want everyone to be able to use the drop-off zones. And one thing that we do know is that our tamariki are hugely resilient, and even our younger students are quite keen to just say hi and bye at the drop-off zone and head off down to class. There'll be teachers and teacher aides around to greet kids as we usually do. So we'll try and keep all of those things running exactly the same. With regard to our Meet the Teacher interviews, we are going to keep those running face-to-face by following all the necessary guidelines in the newsletter, which is part of this bulletin. It'll highlight all those key details. If you have not booked your Meet the Teacher interview, please do so. It's really an important opportunity to be able to catch up, to meet you and hear what you have to say about your child and how we as a school can get the best out of them, learning their little quirks, the things that they do well, all of that kind of thing. So if you haven't booked it, you can go to our school website on the front page and you can book those as soon as possible. Remembering that Monday the 31st of January is our Meet the Teacher Day. So coming up next is our newsletter, which will highlight some of those key things that we have just discussed. Also, as part of the newsletter, which will be attached with this bulletin, is a list of questions and discussion points that you can have when you have the Meet the Teacher evening as well. Te parents, caregivers and whānau e te whānau o te kura o tāua, tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai haere mai, welcome back to school for 2022. I hope you've all had an enjoyable summer break and have been able to enjoy some stunning Wellington weather. I've done more local beach swimming over the past few weeks than I have done for a very long time. As you all know, with the advent of Omicron in Aotearoa, New Zealand, the whole country has been put into the red setting of the COVID protection framework. We have been working hard to make sure we understand what this will look like for our school and how it will affect our school community. With this newsletter, there will be a frequently asked questions sheet that will hopefully be useful. As much as we were looking forward to having parents, caregivers and whānau back on site, the current restrictions do not allow this. So we will be reinstating our drop zones for the start and end of the day. The key details of how this works will be on our FAQ sheet. We want to restrict the amount of non-essential personnel on site, so we ask that you only come into school if absolutely necessary. If you do come into school, you must wear a mask, scan the QR code, and sign in at the office for contact tracing purposes. We really appreciate your support with this. Please don't be offended if you're approached by a member of staff to check that you have signed in if you are on site. (2022) Meet the Teacher Hui. On Monday the 31st of January 2022 from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. we will be holding parent-teacher catch-ups to give families the opportunities to share about their children. If you haven't done so yet, you can book these by going to the following link or scanning the QR code. Though we are at red in the COVID protection framework, We will continue to hold our meetings face to face while following all appropriate hygiene measures and social distancing. The weather is looking pretty good on Monday, so we will try and hold these on decks, verandas and outdoor spaces near the classrooms. When you come on site for these meetings, please follow these guidelines. Scan the QR code at the gate when you arrive at school. QR codes will also be available in the classroom. Please wear a mask. If you are bringing your child, year 4 or older, they will need to wear a mask as well. If you do not feel comfortable with a face-to-face meeting, please contact your child's teacher and we will arrange an online Zoom meeting at the same time as your face-to-face meeting. Over the course of the day, we will also be running information sessions about our structured literacy approach to teaching reading and writing. These will be online Zoom sessions at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. These sessions will be hosted by Owen Johnson and Robin Warden and can be accessed by going to the following link. Mask wearing at Red. Staff and children in years 4 upwards must wear face coverings when inside at school when we are at Red. Public health advice is that an appropriate face covering will fit snugly and seal well around facial contours. This can include single-use disposable masks or medical masks and reusable fabric masks with 3 layers. We ask that masks come to school in a named Ziploc or paper bag. Individual classes will develop routines for storage and use of masks. We acknowledge that this will be something very different for our tamariki, but please appreciate that we are following guidance from the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education. If you have any concerns or questions about this, please get in contact with the principal. Managing cases at school. We have a good contact tracing system in place, so if there is a confirmed COVID-19 case who has been at school while infectious, we can quickly identify who was a close contact of that person. We will then quickly advise those contacts of what they need to do. Only if the Ministry of Health or the Ministry of Education advises to do so would we consider closing a physical on-site school and move to distance learning for everyone. At Red, we'll keep everyone learning on site for as long as we can. Please make sure your contact details we have on file are up to date so we can get in touch with you if needed. Further details about Tawa School's response to the COVID Protection Framework is available on our website by going to tawa.school.nz/COVID. Thank you for your continued support and we look forward to seeing you on Monday. It is really important to acknowledge that this start to the year could be a little bit more challenging than usual, but I have real confidence in our team here at Tawa School. We've spent a lot of time working through plans on how to make things as smooth as possible. I know that as parents, caregivers and whānau, you may have some worries or concerns as well. Look, feel free to flick me an email or give me a phone call and I'll do what I can to try and answer your questions. Please know that any of the decisions that we've made about the way we run things are based on the advice that we receive from the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. Look after yourselves. We'll catch up with you on Monday for Meet the Teacher and then ready for a start to the term on Wednesday, the 2nd of February. Ka kite anō.